Hi, this is Colleen, an intern at Specialty Eye Care Group. I'm just going to be talking to you today about how to verify gas perm lenses and why and how we need to do that. So gas perm lenses are short for GP lenses. They're hard lenses, but today we're going to be talking about really any hard lens. You can both do it for an RGP lens or a scleral lens. We need to verify these lenses both when we have incoming orders. We need to verify that what we ordered is correct. And we also we determine these parameters sometimes to make sure that patients who come in wearing lenses, we want to make sure that they're wearing what we think they're wearing. Sometimes new patients come in wearing lenses and we're not sure what they're wearing, so we need to double check. So that's when we would want to verify these lenses. There are a couple different parameters that we need to check. We check the base curve, the diameter, and the power anytime we verify lenses. The center thickness is not a parameter that we verify often, but on the same machine that we can check base curve, we can also check center thickness. So I'm just going to show you how to do that in case you ever need to do that as well. So this is the radioscope. The radioscope is what we use to verify base curve, and it can also check center thickness. We keep this in the optical. The one in Seattle looks a little bit different, but I'm just going to be talking about the one in Kirkland. They work on the same principles. There are many different parts to the radioscope. This first part here that the arrow is pointing to is the ocular. That's what you look through when you verify the lens. This part here is the contact lens holder. There are actually two parts to this. The part that the arrow is pointing to is fixed on that black circle that it's sitting on. It's kind of more of a pedestal. And if I take away that arrow, you can also see next to that black pedestal is kind of a flying saucer looking shape. That's what the contact actually sits on, and that part is movable. So you can put the contact on that, and then that whole black part lifts up, and you can place it onto that pedestal there. The table or the stage is what that pedestal sits on, and that you can rotate around so that you can center the contact lens right under that silver objective. That arrow is pointing to the focusing knobs. There are two knobs. The larger one, closer to the base of the machine, is the gross focusing knobs. It makes big changes to the focus. The smaller knob on the outside does fine focusing, makes small changes. That's the zeroing knob. When you measure a lens, you're going to be twisting that until the gauge reads 0, so that then when you make changes on top of that, you can tell what the lens parameters are. That's the center thickness reader. I'll show you how to use that if you want to tell how thick a lens is. That's where you'll place the lens. And that's the measurement gauge. That'll give you the numbers that you need when you're verifying the base curve or the center thickness. So first, I'm going to talk to you about how to determine the base curve of a lens. Here you can see that that part that the contact lens actually sits on is on top of the pedestal. That's where it'll be most of the time. You start by filling that little divot that's directly under the silver objective with saline. And it's important to use saline because if you use a thicker solution, it can change the refractive index of the light, and it can actually bend light differently so that you get an incorrect power reading. You want to place the contact lens in the holder face down so that it conforms to that divot so that the concave side is facing up. And then you want to soak up any extra saline with a Kim wipe. You don't want any extra coming out of the divot. You arrange the contact directly below that silver objective by sliding the stage around, and when it's all lined up, you'll see a green light right in the center of the contact. Once you've got that all lined up, you're going to look through the objective, and you're going to start turning the gross focusing knob, which is that large inner knob that's circled, until a star pattern appears. And this is what that star pattern will look like. You're going to move the stage to center the star. You want that star to be right in the center of your vision. And then you're going to turn the fine focusing knob, that smaller outer knob that's circled, to refine it, to make sure that star is nice and sharp. Once you see that first star, you're going to zero the measurement gauge by turning that silver dial that's circled. You're going to just get it so that both the large and the small hands on the measurement gauge read 0. It will look like that. You can see that large one and the small one are both on 0. Then you're going to continue turning the gross focus knob until a second star pattern appears. It'll look just like the first one. Sometimes it can be tough to tell if you've passed the star or if you haven't gone far enough, if it's not showing up. So as a hint, you know you're getting kind of close when you see that corkscrew pattern there. You may have to make small adjustments as you go to the stage just to make sure that the star stays centered. Once that second star appears and you've sharpened it with the fine focus knob, then you just have to look at the gauge to determine the base curve. The small hand in the center of the gauge reads the whole number of the base curve, and that large hand that kind of circles the outside of the gauge is the decimal point of the base curve. So if you look at this, it's kind of hard to tell what the small gauge is because the large gauge is on top of it, but it's between 5 and 6, and the large gauge is at right about 4 6. So the base curve of this would be 5.46. So next I'm going to talk to you about how to find the center thickness of the lens. Again, this is not something that we do that often, but if we have the radioscope, you may as well know how to use the different features. So you start by zeroing the gauge, just like you did to zero the gauge for the base curve. The only difference is for the base curve, you don't need both hands to be at the 0. We're going to be making small enough changes that so long as the small hand is on 0, it doesn't really matter what whole number you're at. So to find the center thickness, you just pull up on that center knob that's circled in the lower picture, and that is going to pull apart that silver line underneath it to create an opening that you can slide the contact lens into. If you take a look at that bigger picture on the right hand side, you can see the contact lens sitting on the bottom part of the silver pole, and then the top part is what's actually reading the thickness. So you just go ahead and place the contact face down so the concave side is up, and then you gently release the silver knob. You can read the center thickness by telling how far that large hand has moved from 0. It moves backwards along the clock, so it started at 0. Now that large hand in this picture is sitting closer to 0.9, so the thickness of this lens is 1 millimeter. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is how to find the diameter of a lens. This one's more simple than the radioscope is. All you do with this one is you place the contact face up on the reticle, so the concave side is sitting on the reticle, and you want the contact to be sitting on the 0. If you look in this picture, you can see a faint line across the top of the loop. That faint line is actually a ruler, and when you look at it from below, you can see it better. There's a picture coming up. So you want the contact to be on the 0, and then all you do is look from below, and you can read the diameter of the lens by looking at the ruler. So when you're looking at it from below, this is what it looks like. You can see that that contact is centered on the 0, and then all you have to do is read the measurements across. You want it to go through the center of the lens, so this is a little off-center, but it's close enough for this purpose. So the diameter of this lens, based on that ruler, is roughly 8.7 millimeters. Okay, so next I'm going to talk to you about how to verify the power of a lens. You use this by using a lensometer. It's the same principles that you would verify glasses with, but instead of glasses, you're just going to hold the contact up, concave side up against that the pointy part of the lensometer, so that the convex side is looking at you. You are going to move the power wheel until the Myers clear. There's a picture of the Myers on the lower left. And then you just read the power of the lens on the power wheel. If it's a toric lens, it'll go into focus in different places, and that can be a little bit more difficult to verify. You need to make sure that your axis is lined up on the right place. So sometimes it's good to get an optician to help you with the torics or the multifocals, but for a spherical GPs, all you have to do is hold it up there and read the power off the lens, just like you would a pair of glasses. Pretty simple. So these are just some specific things that we do at Specialty Eye Care Group that you'll want to do when you're verifying lenses here. You want to make sure that the lens that you have, you want to compare it to the lens that we ordered in Revolution and to the invoice that we got back from the optical to make sure that the lens that we have is both the lens that we ordered and the lens that we wanted to order, just to double check everything and make sure that the patient's getting the lens they need. All invoices on the lenses must be scanned into the Documents and Images folders in Revolution, and you want to make sure that you mark the lenses as received in Revolution as well. Okay, so that's all I have about how to verify gas permeable lenses. I just wanted to thank Heidi and Ronnie, our opticians, for helping me make this presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask Dr. Dave. All right, great. Thank you.